Good morning, class. It is Wednesday, March 11th. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. We've already got some super chats here, and I will get to those just a second. Want to address this from RD Violin 17 says, "Good morning, Farron. Just heard a stand-up comic referencing you, Cliff Cash, The Longest Road." That might be the most interesting thing I've ever heard. I've not heard of Cliff Cash, but now I have to look that up. That is really interesting. Was it part of a routine? Was I being roasted? Or was it like what? I would need to know the context of this. That's pretty awesome. Pete the Rock says, "At least the country now can say, I ran with making Trump pay for his genocidal attacks. How has this not triggered an aneurysm? This cowardice isn't good on his ailing health." It absolutely is not. And that obviously is kind of the big thing we're going to talk about today. And of course, Brian S. Hawes, or is it Brian Shaws? I think it's Brian S. Hawes. But either way, thank you so much. Says, "Thank you, Farron, for all that you do. Been listening since the pandemic." Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And of course, this channel began during COVID. I had, of course, been doing this for years before on Ring of Fire. So yeah, we had extra time, I guess you'd say, during the pandemic, and decided to launch this secondary channel, which has now become my job, and I love it. And I enjoy doing these streams with everybody. I like the interaction we get. I like the fact that we cover a lot of ground. But it's nice. You're going to have to bear with me a little bit today, folks. I am got about 5 seconds of sleep last night, on top of the fact that another really nasty illness, respiratory illness, making its way through my house. And I do think I'm kind of coming down with it as well. So I'm not feeling good at all today. In fact, in spite of my slightly peppy demeanor, I feel like garbage. And as soon as we end this stream, I can promise you I'm going to get in bed for the rest of the day. But we will muscle through it. Farron in his cat burglar outfit. Yeah, I did not put any effort into this today at all. It is what it is. So, but yeah, we're doing our best. Andra Brandon reminding everybody, no King's Day protest March 28th. Please sign up and show your support that we do not want a king or dictator. Please mark that on your calendars. And a super chat here from Marcus Lindner. Sorry, it cut off, but I do remember your name. I did see the things you are mentioning. To have a really wonderful, fun segment coming up on that actually tomorrow. So there is that. But yes, thank you for the major super chat. Donut, steaks, lobster. Pentagon throws around billions of dollars. Oh my God, you're from Germany and that reached you. Wow. Jesus, that is crazy. But yeah, that's old Pete spending money like a drunken sailor. Whole big super chat here from Pagan Sky says, get some not feeling good supplies and feel better soon. Well, thank you so much for that. That is incredibly generous. Thank you. I appreciate it. And of course, I will be taking care of myself. I gotta, take care of the kids first and foremost. I'm secondary to that. But problem is, whenever we get these respiratory viruses or bacterial infections, whatever it is, who knows? Me and two of my kids have asthma, which I'm pretty much maintained and controlled now. But when I get any kind of sickness, it almost always goes into bronchitis because of the asthma. Same things with my kids. So it immediately can go from like, oh, it's just a cold, there's nothing we can do, to, oh crap, now you've got a massive respiratory infection. Anybody, who has asthma or anything like that understands, like, we don't just get like regular colds. It can immediately become something that, just really, really sucks. Super chat from Lord of Slaughter says, Dollamore Cousins 2028. So I'm not at the top of that ticket. I'm the JD Vance to his Donald Trump. Is that what you are saying? No, I could do that. Dollamore's much more level-headed guy. I'm a bit, I get angry sometimes. I'm the Joe Biden to his Barack Obama. I will definitely say that. Like with the signing of the Affordable Care Act, he's like, this is a big effing deal. It's like, come on. That would be me. That absolutely would be me to his more like, hey, let's not maybe go out there and, throw some metaphorical bombs today. Brian S. Halls says, it is Brian S. Halls. We must keep hope. And thank you for that. I do certainly appreciate it. All right. Yeah, it is. I will admit it's a little tough to, keep my breath about me today. What's the worst U.S. airport you've been to? Is a weird question. We really need to get started, but I will answer that question. It's my airport here in Pensacola, Florida. Horrible. Absolutely the worst I have ever been to. And although Newark, man, you guys are a close second. But my airport has like one place to eat, and it's a Chick-fil-A. So if you're flying on a Sunday, you just don't get food because, that's smart. Absolutely idiotic. And I hate it. Hate it. Somebody says Atlanta airport. I don't mind Atlanta. I've spent many a night in the Atlanta airport. So, it's not that bad. It is too big. Let's get into this. I'm sure everybody's like, hey, I thought we were going to talk about Trump's mental state here. And we're talking about airports. JFK, not that great either. Me and my wife really love JFK. No. We love LaGuardia. That's right. LaGuardia. We love that. What are you drinking? This is my Liquid Death mountain water, still drinking water. Death to plastic is their slogan. I actually, I would not endorsed by Liquid Death at all, but I really do like the regular one. I'm not big on the flavors. I know a lot of people are. I just want regular water. So there's that. Anyway, that's my plug. If you're a water person, ditch the plastic bottles, either use your reusable, of course, or, Liquid Death cans are 100% recyclable. So that's good. We each do a little bit of trying to help the world. Donald Trump didn't have a whole lot of sanity left in him. I mean, he had moments where he was obviously lucid, those moments, though, becoming fewer and further between. But this conflict that he started with Iran has obliterated the last of his sanity. And he put that on full display on Truth Social this week when he threatened actual war crimes against the country because he's so freaked out about the rising cost of oil. Here is Donald Trump's post on Truth Social in his own words, quote, "If Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Additionally, we will take out easily destroyable targets that will make it virtually impossible for Iran to ever be built back as a nation again. Death, fire, and fury will rain upon them. But I hope and pray that it does not happen. This is a gift from the United States of America to China and all of those nations that heavily use the Hormuz Strait. Hopefully, it is a gesture that will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay. All right. That's totally normal. Now picture this, if you will. Imagine Kim Jong-un goes out there and he makes a proclamation and he says, death, fire, and fury will rain upon them. It doesn't even matter who them is. But if Kim Jong-un came out and said that, if Vladimir Putin came out and said that, if Maduro had come out and said that, you better believe our missiles would have been flying towards them in a heartbeat. We would have wall-to-wall media coverage, left media, right media, center media, everybody talking about this madman overseas threatening to level an entire country. We would be having UN meetings about this. We would be having all of our international allies banding together saying we have to do something to stop the madman. But in this instance, that madman is not some foreign dictator. It is the President of the United States of America. And this is all over the cost of oil. 100% because of the price of oil that is causing Donald Trump, as I have pointed out, repeatedly over the years, anytime he has one of these moments of like super intense high stress, it lowers his cognitive abilities. And once those get lowered, it's not a temporary lowering that goes back. That becomes the new baseline. So as sane as he is, when he typed this or had somebody type it for him, he will never be more sane than that again. We keep getting lower. That baseline keeps dropping, plummeting at this point. Literally doing the opposite of what oil prices are doing. Kind of doing what the stock market is doing right now. Just going down, down, down. He is unhinged. He is unstable. He likely has dementia, based on what the mental health experts say, and it's getting worse. I mean, one of the worst things for people who are suffering from the mental health conditions that a lot of people say Trump is suffering from is high stress. He's now involved in 2 regime changes that he initiated, that he has no idea what to do with either one of them. Oil prices are skyrocketing, which is going to lead to higher costs of everything in the United States, even non-petroleum products, because somewhere along that assembly, petroleum is involved. Whether it's transportation or just maintaining the machinery, petroleum is involved. So the price of everything goes up. The price of everything was already up from when he entered office. The public is pissed. They're pissed about the prices. They're pissed about the wars. They're still pissed about the Epstein files, and everybody is calling this, Operation Epstein Fury. And it's all getting to his brain. And it's putting everybody in danger. Not just the United States. But this is what happens when you have an American public that puts a mentally unstable narcissist in the Oval Office. None of this is surprising. These are all things that a lot of us on the left had warned the country about in the 2024 election, and we were all dismissed as, crybabies, snowflakes, conspiracy theorists, and of course, just over-emotional, hypersensitive, oh, you're exaggerating. Nope. It's all happened exactly as a lot of people predicted. A couple of super chats came through, and I do want to address these quick. Pagan Sky says, if we were talking about Trump's mental health, we don't have much to talk about, seeing as he hadn't any left. Yeah, and I do think that it's gone. There is nothing left. There is no more. The little bit of lucid moments, coherent thoughts that he would occasionally spit out before going back into his word salad weave, those days I think are done. Marcus Lindner says, you'd be amazed at what travels across the pond. German reporting and satire regarding Trump is quite something. I will say a lot of the news sources I do use, I've used a couple, German sources, a couple French sources. I use a lot of UK sources because they're a little bit more honest than American media. They're not as, terrified of Donald Trump. So, yeah. Trump and RFK Jr. shared brainworms on more than one occasion. Yeah. Somebody says, which German sources? I've used Der Spiegel quite a lot. And there was another one that I had. It was kind of a one-off, but I do remember, it's like 2 or 3 times. Crap, I cannot remember the name. But anyway, I do mention it. BBC, I don't necessarily use BBC because Ricky G Gaming said BBC is questionable. I'm not big on BBC. The Guardian, Independent, those are great. But anyway, no, in the segments I specifically mentioned the name of the German source. Shoot, I will never remember it. And no, I do not know German at all. They're obviously, printed in English. Al Jazeera, I do like Al Jazeera too. And Al Jazeera, went through during the Bush administration all this like they're run by the terrorists. It's Al Jazeera. Just look at the name. It's Al Jazeera. That sounds Al Qaeda-ish. I mean, they both start with Al. I mean, it was really, really awful. What Al Jazeera went through. It was absolutely insane. Bacon Sky says, that'd be terrified or terrified. I like that. All right. Let's move on now because we've got to talk about what President Lindsey Graham is doing. So this week, President of the United States, Lindsey Graham, went on Fox News on Sean Hannity's program, and he offered to make a mutual defense agreement with Saudi Arabia, while also threatening, President Lindsey Graham did, to launch wars against, I think, like 7 other countries. And no, I'm not misspeaking when I say President Lindsey Graham, because the things that Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, was saying he was willing to do are in fact only things that the President of the United States can do. At the same time that Lindsey Graham is out there pretending he is the President of the United States, you also had the Wall Street Journal reveal that Lindsey Graham had secretly traveled to Israel and met with Benjamin Netanyahu in order to instruct Netanyahu on how to manipulate Donald Trump into going to war with Iran. So everything that is happening right now with Iran came from this little pretty boy's brain because he is so desperate for a war to somehow prove that he's actually a big, tough man. Now, as I pointed out a couple days ago, we all know what Lindsey Graham is overcompensating for. There's no doubt. It is, again, one of the biggest open secrets in Washington, D.C. But that's not necessarily relevant to this. What's happening in the Middle East right now is because Lindsey Graham has wanted a war with Iran for decades. For decades. And so he came up with a plan to instruct Netanyahu on how to manipulate Trump. It worked. here we are. But Trump needs to maybe watch out for this lunatic. After all, Trump's the guy in charge. What's going to happen now that all these reports are coming out saying that Lindsey Graham is secretly the guy behind the scenes pulling the strings? People referring to him as President Lindsey Graham, Megyn Kelly going after him for pretending that he's president. So conservative media is already picking up on this and trashing Graham for it. Can't imagine how Donald Trump is going to react when he sees that Lindsey Graham has been manipulating him, playing president, when that's actually Trump's job to play president. Ooh, that's probably not going to sit real well with him, is it, Lindsey? Especially considering the fact that the war in Iran is historically unpopular and it's driving Trump insane. So can't wait for that backlash. That's going to be pretty fun to watch. And I think as long as we just keep referring to him as President Lindsey Graham, we can almost guarantee some sort of psychotic response from Donald Trump. And in this case, might be the one time that it is actually warranted. He ain't that bright. I've dealt with that more. Oh, Graham is Trump's first lady. Are we going to get a Netflix or Prime Amazon documentary just called Lindsay now? That would probably do better than Melania. And I will say I use Fire Sticks in my house for TV. Every time you turn it on now, the big thing at the front is Melania now streaming. They are pushing that so hard. Phoenix NG90J says, finally caught you live. Thank you for joining us. We have, by the way, been doing these live streams. The first one began on December 1st. So it's good to see you. It's good to see everybody back. I'm at the point now where I'm recognizing, names. I notice if certain people are not here. Not that I'm taking attendance, but, we've got a lot of regulars that are here every day, and I do love to see it. Sorry, Scorpio CA says, what are your thoughts about the Georgia 14th vote last night? It doesn't mean he will win the runoff, but that he even got the most votes was still surprising. I haven't seen anything. I've not followed a lot of the primaries. So I don't even know who's in it. And I'm just being honest. I don't know what candidate you're referring to. And I will say, it's not because I'm stupid or uneducated. One, as I mentioned, we were dealing with a ton of illnesses in this house, and it's been a madhouse. But two, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of races and elections that are going to take place in this country before the midterms. I am not keeping track of 99.99999% of them, and I'm not going to. There really is not much reason for me to, because until we get to the general, what happens in the primaries is not necessarily, indicative of what happens in the midterms. So I do appreciate when you guys do reach out and tell me these things that happen, because there's a million things that happen every day, and I cannot keep track of all of them. So again, I certainly hope this doesn't come off as rude as me, like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's so much happening. No single person can pay attention to every bit of it. And so a lot of these primary races, almost all of them, I will say, are things that I am not necessarily paying attention to. So if you do have any questions about like a specific primary race here or there, I'm not that guy. So just wanted to let you guys know that, because there have been questions over the weeks like, oh, did you see what happened like in this place? No, I did not, unfortunately. Kara, the name is cut off, says, Farron, look after yourself. You're the only voice of reason in the wilderness. Well, I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I do, I like to be honest with you guys, about, if I don't know something, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and try to pretend like, oh yeah. I think it went better than we could have thought it would. I'll be honest with you when I don't know something, or if I haven't seen, a particular news story, I'm not going to sit and pretend like I have just to make myself seem like the best and brightest out there. Nobody knows more than me. I do want you to know that I am a human being and I have limitations, and I miss things. So, just want to keep it 100% real with everybody. Phoenix says, I clicked the not interested button on Melania and it went away. I will do that. I never spend much time on that. I'm immediately, popping down to go to Hulu usually, but I will do that. Scorpius says, it was the special election to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene and a Dem for the most vote. That is excellent. Also, however, though, in the primaries, yeah, like the most people went out and voted for this person, but that's like all the Democrats. The Republicans don't necessarily care. It is still a deep red, like double-digit district. That doesn't mean it can't flip, but again, with the primaries, sometimes we read a little more into the primaries than it actually deserves. Hello, Farron. Greetings from rainy Scotland. Been watching you since Trump's first term, and you're my favorite political reporter. Watch every vid and stream. Well, thank you for that. I certainly do appreciate it. Paula Trigg says, have been following you since November 2020 elections. Needed a voice of reason in all that chaos. Why is it that my co-workers and family ignore me all day until it's Farron time, and it's always a crisis? I apologize for that. I hope there's, no correlation, or no causation, I should say. It's not that my stream is causing crises in your family, I hope. What is Timothy Vince says, never mind, can't comment on your videos on your channel. Tyler Hackner says, appreciate your honesty. Well, thank you very much. And also good to see you, Tyler. All right. One more super chat from Furry. It says, who here wants Farron to host Dragon Daddy John as a guest? I am not actually set up technologically to be able to do that, at least not live. I could probably do it pre-recorded, but at the same time, John is a super busy guy, and I don't know that we would. It'd be fun. We've always had a ton of fun in our conversations, and I really do like that. He's a fun guy, not a fun guy. He's a fun space guy. Let's move on. One more. CK Progressive says, Lindsey Graham is up for re-election this year. Can the good people of South Carolina please vote for the Democrat this time? I would love if that could happen. I mean, Lindsey Graham's been there for over 20 years. He has been an embarrassment to that state the entire time. But as I always say, all these people who are still like, no, all of Congress sucks except my person. And when that happens in every state and every district across the country, you end up with the same idiots doing the same crap every time. Here we go here. Donald Trump's best friend in the whole wide world, not the one who died in the jail cell a couple years ago, the dictator over in Russia, Vladimir Putin. He had a call with Donald Trump this week. And Donald Trump came out after the call. He's at his golf resort in South Florida, Doral, instead of actually working in the White House. But anyway, Donald Trump came out and said that it was a great call, and even said that he kind of ordered Putin, you better stop this with Ukraine. You guys better figure it out. Trump said exactly, quote, "We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight, and when is tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky, they can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject." He also pushed Putin to, quote, "get the Ukraine-Russia war over with. By golly." Now, just to kind of clarify what Trump is saying here, it's not that there's this hatred between Putin and Zelensky. It's that Putin invaded Ukraine because he wanted the territory. Okay? That's what happened. Zelensky was not over there egging him on, being like, "I hate you. What are you going to do? You can't cross the border." That's not what happened. Okay. It wasn't like this mutual hatred thing. It was Putin is a dictator and wants to start annexing other countries. Sound familiar though, Donald? I mean, that's kind of exactly the same path you are on. But Trump says it was a good call, and he kind of, gave him the business. And then Russia, multiple government spokespeople in Russia, including a top aide to Putin, came out and said, yeah, that's not what happened. In fact, we didn't talk about ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict at all. The first one, Yuri Ushakov, said they had not spoken by telephone for quite some time. Their previous conversation took place at the end of December. Today's call, incidentally, lasted about an hour. The U.S. president noted that, as previously agreed, such communications should, of course, take place on a regular basis, and both leaders expressed their readiness for that. So basically, they talked for an hour about how we don't talk as much as we should. Like, we haven't talked since December. How was your Christmas? What's been going on in the new year, man? We have got to do this more often. I know we said, we promised we were totally going to, get together more frequently. We just haven't. I've been busy. I know you've been busy. We're both taking over other countries or trying to, so let's keep in touch, buddy. Yeah, let's do coffee sometime, right? According to Russia, that's basically what happened on the call. And then you had another top official with Russia said, Trump didn't ask about a ceasefire in Ukraine during his conversation at all. So nothing that Trump said was true. Now, here's the tricky part. Trump lies all the time. Russia lies all the time. So we actually don't know who to believe. I'm going to split the difference and say both parties are probably lying about all of it. Although Russia does really like to make Trump look bad. So if it was a non-productive, hey, how you been call, then they would be like, yeah, we didn't talk about any of the things he says we talked about. So I lean more towards Russia telling the truth on this, but again, anything they say, you also have to take with a grain of salt. Either way, nothing at all was accomplished because Donald Trump is not capable of accomplishing things. Really, anything, any kind of thing. Trump simply can't do it. One, because of his incompetence, but two, because at the heart of it, he genuinely could not care less. Long-haired hippie dragon, which, by the way, love the name, says, want to vote out a politician? Get involved with your local Democratic committee in your county. I love that advice. All politics is local. You have to do local. You have to start local. You have to be local. If you want your red state to turn blue, get involved in the party's infrastructure there. You have to do that. I love that message. That is great. Paula Trigg says Byron Donalds, GOP candidate for Florida governor's new ads highlights his endorsement by Trump, hoping these ads don't have the effect he thinks they will. And now that could be a bit of a mixed bag, because we do know that obviously Florida over the last few years, basically ever since the pandemic, has had a massive influx. I think we've gained more than 1 million new Republican voter registrations. So we've got more Republicans than we ever have. Trump is historically unpopular. We have a state that is just descending into hell with rising prices, energy prices out of control, insurance prices out of control, home prices out of control, all under solid Republican leadership, and everybody in the state hates the things that are happening. Are they smart enough to realize Republicans either let this happen or made it happen? That remains to be seen. But Paula Trigg, you know all this. You're also in Florida, so I'm not necessarily saying this for you. I'm saying this for everybody else that's not in this hellhole that we call home. Skeets Hair says, the admin proves that once you have hatred in your heart, the devil makes you an idiot with no morals. I love it. I like when I just have to start laughing halfway through because I wasn't expecting it to be funny, and then it was. The Beloved Son says, hey there, Farron, and greetings from Jerusalem. Thanks for all you do. Been a fan since the COVID lockdown days. Thanks for keeping us informed worldwide, and I'll keep you informed of the truth of things here in Israel as well. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all of that. Got to replace my Congressman Van Orden, says Lauren Tamara. Ed Beatty Jr. says, I hope the Melania film gets the Golden Razzie next year. The Razzies Awards are the equivalent of the Oscars, but nominate bad movies. I would love to see that as well. I not love to see the movie. I would love to see it win some Razzies. And I do think it's kind of a guarantee it's gonna. Estelle says, 2 of my friends want us to go on holiday to America. Me and my girlfriend refuse because I'm a guy with long hair and she is LGBT. I'd only feel safe in California. Or Vegas. Just saying, just Vegas. Vegas, pretty open-minded place too. But no, California, obviously, ton of stuff to do. I mean, and I've expressed in the past, like, I really don't have a lot of interest in going to California, which I don't know why, I just kind of don't. But, the northern part of the state, nothing like the southern part, the middle part, like so much stuff to do in California. So if you are thinking of coming to the United States, I do think that is a great place to be. Kian says, have you heard of Austria-Hungary? Yes, I have. It was a dual monarchy in World War I. The problem was the 2 ethnicities created a cohesion issue and fought poorly. Minnesota is safe and beautiful in the summer. Cannibals turn vegan when they see Trump. Oh, goodness. You guys got jokes today. I love it, which is good, especially because I'm not feeling super great. So it's nice to have a good laugh. Oh, I really am. I feel it. When you're like, oh, I think I'm getting sick. And then you're like, yeah, you start to go down that. I don't know. I got a fistful of ibuprofen in me and a Mucinex D. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. They're fighting it out. Also, I do nasal irrigation every morning. And one of the things I do, I don't even know if I should say this as a tip, because it may be like dangerous and really not good for your body. So I'm not recommending anybody do this. I'm just saying I've been doing it. Is I add, like, if I'm not feeling good or a little more congested than usual, I will add a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to it, and it'll burn like crazy. But anytime I've been starting to get a cold in the last year, I've done that, and haven't really had a cold. So I'm not saying do it, because again, it may just be like destroying the inside of my body, but do your own research. Paula Trigg says, not only am I in Florida, I work for the AG. Fortunately, my team is like-minded, so there is a small refuge in this red madness. That is, you are in the lion's den with that. Oh boy. I'm also ill, Farron. Hi from Denmark. I'm sorry to hear that, Thomas. Battling a cold myself. Yeah. Too much information. Do you eat Vicks? No, I do use the Vicks shower steamers though, and those are really great. Those are really great, by the way, not just like when you have a cold and you want to open up. For me, like that really strong, like menthol is like it helps wake me up like really, really well. So I do that. And by the way, I do the hydrogen peroxide thing. A doctor that I'm friends with told me he had been doing that, which is the only reason I even tried it. So, but again, do not like whatever. The beloved son says, just an update from Insights here. Even Israelis who supported Trump before are finally starting to realize he's so horrible, even prophetically bad. That is good. That is a little shocking, but I like it. Chris Campbell says, I've actually consumed peroxide in very small doses in past, as well as things like nose spray. Personally, I think it did wonders for me. Hydrogen peroxide is always great. And it's like 88 cents for, a big giant jug. So I always keep several on hand. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Donald Trump admitted, shockingly enough this week, that no other U.S. president has been as crazy as he is. Now, that's not exactly what he said, but that is certainly the best way to interpret what he said. Because Donald Trump said this while speaking from his Doral golf resort. Quote, I don't want to brag, but they said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of the shit I'm doing. The things I'm doing, no one else was going to do it. They say it all the time. Sir, could you do this? You're the only one who can do it. This reminds me. During my college days, I had like one of my best friends. He was my roommate for a long time as well. But he was a little crazy. Like he was the guy who, we get a couple beers in us and he'd be like, I'm going to go jump off the second story balcony. And it's like, oh man, you're crazy for doing that. Yeah, do it. Come on, man. Can you do it? And he would do it. And he also at one point ate a live goldfish. Not as part of like a fraternity hazing, just because, hey, I'm just going to do this because I'm the crazy guy. And he was a fun guy to hang out with. I miss him tremendously because we kind of lost touch. But I wouldn't want that kind of guy to be president of the United States. The kid at the lunch table when everybody pours all their drinks into one cup and he's like, I'll do it. I know nobody else will drink it, but I'll do it. Right? He's a fun guy to hang out with. Okay, crazy sometimes. Definitely not the kind of person that should be president of the United States, though. Okay, we need somebody a little more level-headed. We need somebody a little more rational. Somebody who's not just like, oh, you got a crazy idea? Pfft, I'll do it, bro. I'm up for it, whatever it is. But Trump is out there bragging like, nobody else is doing this shit. I'm doing it. I'm regime changing 2 countries on 2 different continents right now. Oh boy, I'm about to take over Greenland, maybe. I might even annex Canada. Who knows? I'm crazy. I'm going to put 15% tariffs on everybody. Now it's 25%. If the Supreme Court tells me I can't, I'm going to do it anyway. Nobody tells bro what to do. Doing things that nobody else is doing isn't always a good thing. If it's a medical innovation, great. Technological innovation that makes our lives better, sure. doing something for the sake of doing it because nobody else has done it does not inherently make it a smart decision or a good decision or the right decision. And Trump doesn't understand that. He thinks that it puts him somewhere in history by doing something that nobody has done before. Guess what, Donald? No president has ever grabbed a cat by its tail, swung it over his head, and threw it off the White House roof either. Doesn't mean you should go and do it. And I almost regret saying that out loud because now I'm not going to be shocked if by the end of the week he's up there with a cat. Meow, where we go? Nobody's ever done it. Because I believe he would. He also seems to hate animals. But this is the kind of person we have as president of the United States, doing things, no matter how dangerous and stupid they are, just because nobody else is doing it. He's on the fuck up side of history. It's the best way to say that. Skeet Sarah says he is as boastful as Mussolini was. And we're headed down that same path. Scott Carden says DJT would be safe during a zombie apocalypse. Zombies only eat brains. If he is acting like he is president, it is a Razzie-worthy acting job. I love it. So when is the draft starting? No, they haven't started the draft. It's just that it's on the table with all of the other crazy ideas he has. I really, that is terrifying. And it could. Skeets here says, just think that the government is shut down because of Epstein, and now millions are stuck in airports across America. Ignorance is bliss. You know, it's funny you bring that up because I was actually watching some videos this morning on Instagram of just the chaos taking place at airports. You know, people putting out videos warning everybody like, hey, depending on the airport, you may have to get here like 4 or 5 hours early. It is absolutely hellacious right now in the United States. Gargoyle Dragon says, stupid news from Iowa. They took LGBTQ off protected class. Cities tried to keep them, but the state just overruled them. We just made Medicare solely privatized, and we just re-implemented 3-strike rule. Please send help. Good Lord. You know, I think things are bad down here in Florida, and then you hear stuff like this. I mean, especially like privatized Medicare. That's just regular health insurance that everybody hates. Like, we're just the dumbest people imaginable in charge of decisions that affect our daily lives. True Zero says, I honestly don't believe he'll survive the year, let alone the term. I really kind of agree. Not that something is going to happen to him from an outside external force. I believe whatever horrible things are happening inside his body, inside his brain, and I think obviously that's what you're getting at too. I think he's on borrowed time. I genuinely believe that. Keon says, have you heard of Emperor Hirohito? He was emperor of Japan during World War II. He kept his emperor title after. That was insane stuff. Don't know very much about that, but I appreciate the info. U.S. missiles can be recognized easily by the cup holder. You got me on that. I love it. All right. A couple more things I want to run through because we've got some pretty ridiculous, fun stories now to talk about. Alina Haba, the unemployed former acting U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey, Donald Trump's former failed personal lawyer who lost every case she ever went to trial for him, came out this week and reminded everybody that she is still a complete and total moron. For some reason, Alina Haba was asked to be a guest on Newsmax, even though she herself is not newsworthy. She does not have a job with the administration, so I'm not even sure why they invited her. She should be out looking for a job. But she decided in March of the year 2026 to start attacking former Vice President Kamala Harris as if that's relevant to anything at all. And when she tried to attack Harris, she flubbed up something pretty major that caused the entire internet to light up with laughter. You see, Alina Haba was trying to take a dig at Harris for what she said over a week ago at Jesse Jackson's funeral. And here is what Alina Haba said. If you look at Kamala Harris's comments of desperation at Reggie Jackson's funeral, and she didn't even know him, if you look at this, they're reaching so far. She didn't even know Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, MLB Hall of Famer, is alive and well. I think he's almost 80 years old now. Jesse Jackson is the civil rights icon who recently passed away. I get it, Alina. They probably all look alike to you, right? You can't keep your black people straight. They both have last name Jackson, so what? They're all interchangeable, I guess, huh, Alina? Is that where you're at? But if you're going to attack somebody for not knowing somebody, you damn sure better get the person's name right. And you didn't, because you're a complete and total moron. Now, as I mentioned, you don't have a job. So instead of going out there reminding everybody how dumb you are, shouldn't you be working on your resume? You think that appearance on the lowly viewed Newsmax is going to help a law firm be like, yeah, that's the one we want. Bring her on board. Let's make her a partner. I mean, at this point, I don't even think you could find any more parking garages willing to have you as their counsel because you are so dumb and so much of a failure. And let us never forget that this is a woman who just a year or two ago was bragging on a podcast with a bunch of dude bros saying she would rather be pretty than smart because she can allegedly fake being smart. Well, it's been a few years, Alina, and we're all waiting for you to pretend to be smart because so far we haven't seen it. And speaking of stupid people that Donald Trump loves to surround himself with, the messaging app Signal announced this week that a whole hell of a lot of government Signal accounts had been taken over by, quote, nefarious actors. Signal wanted to make abundantly clear that this takeover was not due to somebody sneakily hacking into Signal and taking access of these government accounts where we know for a fact they share confidential classified information. Signal said, nope, the idiots in this administration fell for a basic phishing scam. You know the ones, we've all seen them. You get a phone call, a text message, or an email like, hey, this is blank company. Your credentials are messed up. Click here and enter your credentials so that we know everything is cool with you. And you do it. And then the people on the other side are like, what an idiot. We have their username and password and, secret code number. Let's get to work. It's something that just about every major corporation in the United States has training for their employees. Their IT or IS departments will send out periodic emails warning them of new phishing schemes, warning them if you get an email from somebody you didn't contact and they're asking for your login information, don't do it. Okay, that should be obvious. I mean, at this point in, human evolution, it ought to be common sense. If you didn't reach out to them, they reached out to you asking for your info. Don't do it. I think the vast majority of people in the country understand it. Hell, the vast majority of people in the world understand it. But not the idiots in the Trump administration. So we don't know who fell for it, but we know multiple people in the administration fell for the phishing scam. We know that their Signal accounts were accessed by these nefarious actors, as Signal called them, but we do not know what information was in the chats that these nefarious actors accessed. That's pretty terrifying, because we know that the Defense Department and pretty much all of the other cabinet officials as well use Signal for chatting. We know, based on Pete Hegseth's multiple Signal scandals last year, that they share classified information or sensitive information, especially regarding potential military actions. And considering the fact that the United States is currently involved in at least 2 separate countries doing military stuff, I'd say that's pretty bad. Probably not the kind of thing you want a, quote, nefarious actor to get a hold of. But here we are, all because Donald Trump loves to surround himself with the dumbest human beings imaginable. I want to address a couple super chats real quick that I didn't get to between those 2 segments. Skeets here says, Trump is so toxic, they may have to use hazmat suits when examining him. Oh boy. That is, if you ever, when you walk into McDonald's and there is that smell, there's that oil smell. When they open him up, when he departs this world and they got to do the autopsy or the medical exam or whatever, it's going to smell like an old McDonald's that hasn't been cleaned in years. That's what's going to happen. Chantel says, message from Chris Campbell 9172. He wanted to note that if you use peroxide, you should make sure it's labeled as food consumption. Okay, interesting. I did not know that. So I may just be poisoning myself. I don't know. Ricky G Gaming says, I do smell when working DoorDash. And yeah, anytime. I mean, I used to smell when my first job was at a McDonald's. And to quote one of my favorite, most memorable quotes from the Drew Carey show, my first job was at a McDonald's. My last job will probably be at a McDonald's. But yeah, like you come home and you smell like that oil grease. And, as a kid, you love it. It's great. You get older and you walk in and you're like, okay, I already need a Tums. I use the one, by the way, that is listed as oral debriding agent. So it is safe to have, in the mouth at the very least. So I do have that. But yeah, ever cleaned a grease trap? Hell yeah, I had to do that all the time at McDonald's. And that is where the bulk of that smell comes from. It's not like the fry grease. It's that grill grease. And I do not ever, ever, ever miss cleaning out those grease traps. That was the worst part of the job. We had this big metal pot that was on like a bun crate on wheels, and we'd roll it out with a big hook. They'd roll it back, and every now and then, if you had to like stop suddenly, it would slosh and get on the back of your pants. Oh my God. And it's been, God, how old am I? 26 years since I worked at McDonald's, and I still remember that. Oh God, that was awesome. Awful. McLaren says, now the quote from Austin Powers about gross smells is coming through my head. We cleaned grease traps every day at Wendy's. We were not ever, I don't think we were every day. No, we had to do it every day because they do fill up, right? The ones on the side of the grill where you scrape everything into. We did it multiple times a day. So it's the ones above the grill that really didn't get cleaned out much. The filters. Boy, we've gone down a weird path now, haven't we, folks? Listen, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate all of the very kind words today. Y'all have been wonderful. I did not, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people that I see that are on here every time. I didn't see V-Man today. So that's V-Man. I hope everything is good. But anyway, again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We got a ton of great content coming up for you throughout the rest of the day. I will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m., hopefully feeling better. Hopefully I was able to kind of knock this thing out before it really hits me. Skeet Sayer says, this is why we need food Fridays. We might be able to do that this Friday. We'll see. It's going to depend on how I feel. Ole Hansen says, your channel keeps getting better. I appreciate that. We try. We try real hard. I'm going to make a tea and go lay down. Until tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central, I will see you guys. Take care of yourselves.